Hello everyone, it's Ben and Scott here for What Culture Gaming at Gamescom 2016. It's the end of the day.
It is.
The last thing you were able to see was Final Fantasy 15, so I just wanted to get your thoughts on it because I didn't get to see it, but you did. What was actually shown to you there?
Well, they actually just let us just start the game.
Right.
I don't know how long you could have played for because eventually we had to nip off and do some other stuff. But I played a good sort of about half an hour of it. It's very similar to the beta thing that they put out. It was like a little trial demo that they put out. It's very open world exploration style thing. They've actually changed quite a lot. They haven't had turn-based battles for a while, but they've changed the way that you fight overall. You just hold a button down and he just fights. And so you just sort of like tap different D-pad directions to switch weapons, but it's all one continuous animation. So basically it's ostensibly like a weird fantasy road movie. Right. Like you're a dude called Noctis, you're like a prince, and you're like scheduled to go off and meet some other woman and like bind the kingdoms together, like Game of Thrones style. But then along the way, your car breaks down. You have a car. There's lots of like modern tech stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just realizing how much you don't know about it. It's weird. You're a dude. You're a prince. Noctis. You got some friends.
Yeah.
Princey friends. You're all in a car.
Yeah.
It's like kind of futuristic stuff, but you're still in like a fantasy world with like dinosaurs and goblins and demons.
So, assuming that the people who are watching this have seen the trailer and the stuff that's been shown so far, so they're the car and the open world and that kind of stuff. Where did it drop you in? You said you started near the beginning. How did that work?
If you're keeping up with this so far, what they haven't shown yet is that the game opens with a weird sort of boss battle. You're just like dropped in this massive fire pit of like I don't know what the hell's going on. It's clearly like a sign of things to come, and it actually has quite a weird sort of stilted beginning, and it's a little bit sort of strange. You drop in a boss battle. The controls are quite confusing, and then you're just sort of it goes back to the modern day, and you're on this road trip. And it's just, considering the game's been in development for about a decade because they've had like, different title
names.
changes, and everything else. It doesn't, man, like, for as much as I really want to love it, it didn't knock me over. Like it's not, the graphics aren't like Uncharted level kind of thing. There are some sort of muddy textures. It's just indicative of the fact that they have a game that has been made on different hardware and has made the generational jump. Yeah. And these days, like different games are made with different engines, and they've had to sort of stick with the one that they had because the bulk of the assets were always on that engine.
And so they're going to need to pay off, obviously, because the amount of money they're pouring into the anime and the film and all the other stuff that they're doing, the supplementary stuff, the collector's editions that you can buy are absurdly expensive if you want one of those. So clearly they're desperate to make their money back. But was there anything that stood out that was good, or that you really liked how they did that, or anything at all? It's
sort of the same as when the beta, like the playable demo, came out, because Episode Disgaea was the name of the playable episode thing, and it's more the concept is so cool. The concept of like 4 Final Fantasy, like actually, to be honest, right, if you played 2001's The Bouncer on PS2, they look like those sort of character models. Right. There's a dude called Gladios or Gladiatorius or something. He's like a big dude, he's one of your guys, and you just sort of hang out as these 4 guys, and that's the appeal. 4 fantasy guys on a road trip, going off slaying monsters, like parking up their car, going off slaying monsters, having a bit of banter, a bit of like back and forth, like talk between them. That's totally the appeal.
Hashtag lads on tour, right?
Yeah, look, that is literally the appeal. If it was Final Fantasy lads on tour, that's pretty much what it is.
See, that sounds just terrible to me in every way.
It's kind of beautiful though. Like it's kind of awesome.
How's the voice acting though? Because if you've got the hashtag lads on tour, hashtag bants,
it's terrible.
I've heard it's awful. Like how do they have sort of the stereotyped voices you would expect for their body types? Because that's exactly the kind of thing I can imagine them doing.
Absolutely, like 100%. Same Final Fantasy style voice acting we've always had, but that's why we love it so much. Like it's always been endearing that way. Not as bad as that, not yet. Not in the stuff that I saw. But just sort of like, hey, let's go over there, and like, hey, you want to go over there? Like, it's just like
radical, dude.
Yeah, it's not even like it's necessarily Americanisms, but just sort of how Japanese writers like to write Western dialogue, and it sort of comes across of just like the game opens with you pushing the car for about 2 minutes, just pushing it to get it to start, and that's like. But the thing is. That puts the focus on the 4 guys, and that's what they want you to love. They want you to love the bond between the 4 dudes that are going on this road trip, and it's getting the car on the road and then all hopping in, and then the escapades that ensue. One thing I have to point out, which is the same thing from Episode Disgaea, it's Sid's daughter is this mechanic woman chick who sorts out your car. She still looks absolutely ridiculous. Right. She's just in hot pants with her boobs out, and it just doesn't. Why? It's just stupid. It just looks ridiculous. And she's like, "Hey, y'all, can I fix your car?" And it's just like, "What are you doing?"
It's just such a shame that they feel the need to, and this is without seeing, this is just from the stuff we've seen and the stuff you're telling me right now, but it's always seemed strange to me that the Final Fantasy creators want to go with a Western feel, because I find that one of the best JRPGs around today at the moment is the Persona series, and they just Japanese culture all in. and they just write the characters really well. And yeah, there's a couple of loose things, but the localization team do a really good job of keeping the Japanese sensibilities, but making it so that we can understand it. And it just seems a bit weird and warped where they're trying to do it the other way around.
I mean, I think in a way, it's like it wouldn't be Final Fantasy if you didn't have a lot of these quirks in it. And they are shooting for, to be honest, like the setup of having like this mix of like new age technology. Like everyone's got phones, everyone's getting rang voicemails, and got a nice fancy car. The car can fly as well, as you do. And it's lots of this futuristic stuff. There's gas stations, and it's like modern cons.
Right.
But there's also like enemies to fight, and there's like quests to go on. It's a nice mix. There's still chocobos in there, chocobos if you're American, and all that sort of thing. And yeah, that's the appeal. I love the world that they've got. To be honest, I still really enjoyed it. I just think that it's not the game that they need it to be. But I wonder if it was ever going to be like a game this long in development. They've got the Kingsglaive movie, and there's an anime, and then they've got the special editions. They need this to be as big as something like Final Fantasy 7 through 10, and I just don't think that it's going to be. I'm sorry, it's going to be fine, but I think it might just be fine, which sucks.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. For more on Final Fantasy 15 and Gamescom 2016, keep it locked to What Culture Gaming. I'm Ben, this is Scott. Thank you for watching.